Hi, Phanessa here. In this video, I am going to demonstrate how to crochet this bag here. So I am going to make a smaller sample so that you can see how easy it is to adjust the bag to the size you want. So this one is hooked yarn and it is their Ribbon XL. They remind me of shoelaces. So for this tutorial, I'm going to use super bulky weight yarn. This is Lion Brand's Hometown USA. This color is Providence Pink. And I just have 2 out because I'm not sure how much I need yet. And you can use leather straps. I got these on Amazon. Everything is going to be linked in the description box. So for the hook, I am using a size N. This is 9mm. You'll need a tapestry needle and stitch marker of some sort, and you'll also need a tape measure. So these came with snaps, but because the holes are so big, it doesn't stay very well. It just falls right through the space between the stitches. So what I did is I just tied the yarn once I went through this twice. So there's two strands right there. So we'll start at the bottom base here. You're going to work single crochets back and forth until you're happy with the size of the bottom of your bag. And then we're going to work in the round all the way up to here. You can choose to add this decorative stitch here or not. It's up to you. I actually tried so many different fancy stitches and I kept ripping it and ripping it apart. And then finally I decided to just go with single crochet and added a little section here, an accent, I suppose. So let's get started. Okay, so you're going to start with a slip knot. So the number of chains is going to depend on how wide you want or how long you want the base of your bag. If you want the specifics on this pattern, go ahead and check the description box below. I have a link to the pattern. It is a free pattern on my blog, or you could purchase the printable PDFs in any of my shops. Okay, so again, this is just going to be a sample. So I'm just going to chain a few. I like to measure as I go, especially with crochet. It's a lot easier for me to measure things. I know that everybody works differently, but that's just how I like to measure my work. So I know that this is going to be pretty much the length of my base here, especially if you're working with yarn that doesn't stretch. Okay, so now turn so that you can see the back humps back here. That's where I'm going to work my stitches. So I'm going to work into the second chain from the hook. This is the first and that's the second. So I'm going to turn this around, insert my hook into that back hump, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, so that is 1 single crochet. Work 1 single crochet all the way across. Make sure you work into the back humps. Now if you are a loose crocheter, you might want to go down a hook size, especially if you want your stitches to be tighter. I forgot to measure this, but this is about 5 inches long. This one was about 12 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my work and chain 1. So here's the chain 1 stitch here. So the first stitch you want to work into is this one here. So take your hook, insert it into the first stitch. Make sure you go through both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. So just work 1 single crochet in every stitch across. And then you're going to repeat this row until you're happy with the size, the width of the bottom of your bag. If you're new, make sure you count your stitches so that you have the same amount of stitches as you did here. So I'm just going to repeat the last row until I feel like it's wide enough. Okay, so I've stopped here. This is what I'm happy with. So you want to keep in mind that when you start working around, you're going to add another row on the foundation side. So if you want a total of 4 rows, you'll have to stop at row 3. Just keep in mind that you're going to have to work all the way around to this side. So there will be an additional row on your foundation. So another thing you want to keep in mind is if you decide to work this decorative lace stitch here, the border, so you want to make sure that you have stitches in multiples of 6. Now, if you have 1 or 2 less or more, that's a pretty easy fix. You can just adjust. So the best place to place the extra stitches is going to be in the corners. So let's say the way I did it here, I worked 4 stitches here and 4 stitches here. If I needed extra stitches, I would place another one in the corner, or in this corner, or in this corner, or in this corner. So you want to get as close as you can to a number that's in multiples of 6. But if you don't, you can always increase or decrease somewhere down here or up here. Let me show you quickly how to increase a stitch or decrease a stitch. So if you needed to increase a stitch, you're going to work 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So here's my last single crochet. I'm just going to insert my hook into the same stitch and work another single crochet. So now you can see there's 1, 2. There's 2 single crochets into this one stitch. Now if you wanted to decrease, you would work a single crochet 2 together. And to do that, you will work over 2 stitches. So you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then without completing the single crochet, you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So you can see here I've pulled up loops on these 2 stitches, through these 2 stitches, and then you end up with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. So now you've decreased these 2 stitches into this one. So that's how you would decrease or increase a stitch. So you should work 1 single crochet per row. So this is my 1 row, that's 2 rows, 3 rows, and the 4th row. So I'm going to place 2 single crochets here, 1 here, and then the 4th here. And I'm not going to chain 1, I'm just going to go right into the same stitch as the last single crochet twice. So you want to work 2 stitches there, next stitch, and the last one. So this is 4. Now you want to work along the foundation side. So as you can see, you have these neat edges here that you can clearly see and work into. That's why I like to work on the back side of the foundation chains. So make sure you work 1 single crochet in every stitch across. It can be a little tight in the foundation row. So if you have issues with that, make sure you work your chain stitches loosely and work your first row loosely into those chain stitches. Here is my last stitch on this side. This is my tail. I'm just going to work right over the tail. So now I'm on this side again. I want to make sure that I work 4 stitches here as well. So holding my tail, I'm going to work my first one in the same stitch. And then the next stitch, I'm going to work into this post here. That way I will avoid large holes. Okay, 2, 3. See, I'm going over the tail. And the last one will be 4. Oops, forgot about my tail. See, there's still 1 strand left that kind of covers the hole. So if you work right into this space, you will definitely have a gap or a hole there. Okay, so now we're ready to start the main part of the bag. It's all worked in single crochets. For the very first round, we are going to work into the back loops. Okay, so that will help the stitches move direction. So you can see this little ridge here. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight into the very first stitch here. Into the back loop. This is the back loop here. This is the front loop. Usually you go through both loops like this, but we want to go into the back loop. 1 single crochet. This is where I will place my marker. So I know where my first stitch is. So into the next stitch, back loops only. 1 single crochet. Okay, so work 1 single crochet into the back loops of every stitch. So I'm just going around here. This is the side. Okay, so that is my last stitch. I forgot to work around the tail, but if you work around your tail, you won't have to weave that in later. So here's the first stitch. So for the first stitch, I'm going to also work into the back loops. That way, the little ridge here won't be cut off so suddenly. So into the first stitch, back loops. I'm going to move my marker up. I don't usually move it, too lazy, but if you need to, go ahead and just move it up. Okay, now moving forward, we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch around in a continuous round until you're happy with the size. Okay, so you'll work until you're happy with the size. I stopped right about there before I added my lace stitch here. So you can make it as short or as deep as you want. Move your marker up as you go if you need to. But you'll just go ahead and work one single crochet in every stitch around. My stitches are generally looser. I have a lot of wrist and hand pain that prevents me from working tight stitches. It's one of the reasons why I don't crochet toys. Not often anyway. So the side that you're on is going to be the right side. Okay. You can see it's already kind of starting to take shape. Okay, so for this little sample, I'm going to stop here. So it happens that I have 30 stitches, so I have enough for the lace stitch here. So this was my first stitch. It kind of slants diagonally. And so this is my first stitch, and I have one more stitch left here. I'm going to work my last stitch. And now I'm going to work this section here. So what you're going to do is start by working a cluster. So this is a cluster of treble crochet stitches. Okay, so now you want to work a slip stitch into the first stitch of the next round. Now we're going to start working these stitches here. So we're going to chain 4. The chain 4 is going to count as a treble crochet. So this is basically 2 clusters of treble crochets. So in this cluster we're going to work 2 more treble crochet stitches into the same stitch. Okay, so it's going to be a treble 2 together. So yarn over twice, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, so now you have 2 loops. You want to yarn over twice, into the same stitch again. Again, you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, so now we're going to complete this cluster by yarning over and pulling through all 3 loops. Now you're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 4 and 5. So now we're going to work these 2 clusters here together. So the first treble cluster is going to go into the same space as this cluster here. Okay. So yarn over twice into the same stitch as this first cluster. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, so again, we don't complete our trebles. We're just going to keep carrying it on. So into the same stitch, I'm going to work another partial treble again. Okay, so we're not going to complete it like we did here. We're then going to skip 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into this next one. We're going to work another set of these. We're leaving these 4 loops here. Yarn over twice into that indicated stitch. So the 6th stitch from here, we're skipping 5, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. 2 more times. So into the same stitch, and then 1 more time. Okay, so you have, let's see, 7 stitches. Yarn over, pull through all 7, chain 1 to secure that. Okay, so now we're going to chain 5, and we're going to repeat this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's going to be like an A, like a triangle. So you're going to repeat the exact same thing you did here. You're going to work 3 trebles without completing it, and then skip 5, another 3 trebles, and then you can yarn over and pull through 7 loops. So that's to repeat around. Into the same stitch. Okay, don't complete your treble. 2 more into the same space or same stitch. Okay, so there's 2 now. And 3. Again, we want to leave that there. Count 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip those 5. Into the next, we're going to work another cluster. Two and 3, or almost 3. Okay, so now I have 7 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through all 7, chain 1 to secure. Okay, and then repeat. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then work another cluster. So I'm going to do that all the way around. So I'm coming near the end, and you'll see that there's 5 stitches left. And this very first one that we worked is actually going to be part of this set here. Okay, so you want to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the same stitch right here. You're going to work your first cluster. Okay. That's 2. Okay. So now with these 4 loops on the hook, I'm going to work a slip stitch through the top of this cluster and then pull it through all 4 loops. Okay. So here is the very first cluster. I'm just going to go right into this very top stitch here. Okay, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull it through, and then I'm going to pull through these 4 loops on my hook and chain 1. Okay, so now I've got my little accent row there, and now you just want to work single crochets along the edge, and you can continue for a wider section here. I actually ran out of yarn, so I was only able to work two rounds. So I was able to work 2 rounds of single crochets. Into that very same stitch where we joined, you're going to work 1 single crochet. Okay, you can place a marker there if you need to. Into the chain 5 space, you're going to work 5 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5. On the top of these clusters, you're going to work, 1 single crochet. In the chain 5 space, 5 single crochets. So you repeat that all the way around, working 5 single crochets in the chain 5 space, and then 1 single crochet on top of the cluster. So repeat that all the way around. Again, you can skip this part and just work single crochets, and I think that will look great. And you can finish off with slip stitches on the top, and I'll show you on this one, but I did not do that on that green bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, because I did run out of yarn. I did get about halfway, but in the end I lost to the game of yarn chicken. You win some, you lose some. Okay, this was my first stitch. Again, you can mark that very first stitch. So I'm going to work 1 single crochet right into that stitch. I'm not going to join, I'm just going to continue. So I'll go ahead and place a marker here so that you can see it. Okay, now you just work 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Of course, if you are working a small bag like this, I don't recommend putting this in. It's just way too big for it. It was meant for the larger tote bag, so this would just, I guess it could work, but it is a large lace for such a small bag. I'm coming to the end here. So this is where I stopped for the other bag. If you are done, you can go ahead and pull off your hook with the hook over this strand. Insert your hook that way, place the loop on your hook, and then pull it through. Okay, and then you can fasten off. So let me work slip stitches to show you what that would look like, which is what I really wanted to do, but I didn't have enough yarn. So into every stitch you're going to work a slip stitch, and to work a slip stitch you just yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through the loop on your hook. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and through. Okay, so 1 slip stitch in every stitch around. Okay, coming to the end, I'm going to do the same thing. Pull this out, find my first slip stitch here. Okay, so this is my first slip stitch. Okay, then you can fasten off and weave in your ends. So this is what the slip stitch looks like. It's a little bit thicker. Another thing that you can do is crochet a strap. I'm not going to do that in this video. I used leather straps. So with your tapestry needle, you want to use the same yarn, and you want to basically just poke it through and then through this side, and then you want to do that one more time, and then just tie it in the back and weave in your ends. You can eyeball it, or you can count your stitches and make sure that it's at least even, like that. I had to put mine over this lace stitch here. I actually wanted this a little bit thicker so that I can place this in that section. So that's an option if you wanted to do that. Just keep in mind how far you need to go before you stop if you decide to add the lace stitch, and if you decide to add more after that. Okay, so then you just weave in your ends with your tapestry needle. Okay, don't forget to weave in any remaining ends if you had to join a new ball or anything like that. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below or send me an email. I do try to read all of my comments and respond to my emails as much as I can. And if you haven't, please hit that notification button so that you will be notified every time I post a new video. All right, I'll see you next time.